Hi, Pisces Sun and Rising. Welcome to your April 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, in April, we're coming off of the eclipses, and the last eclipse that we're coming off of is the one at the end of March, on March 29th, which is the solar eclipse in Aries, and that falls in your second house of earned income. I have to, make this disclaimer that this is a general forecast. It's possible that if you're like a late degree Pisces Sun or Rising, maybe this eclipse will fall in the first house. Always a possibility. You have to check your natal chart, or if you're listening for your sun sign, definitely find out what your natal chart says, because that will that will open up a whole new world for you. But I'm just doing this as a general reading, and the second house is the house of earned income, so that could provide quite a jump start to that. And you have other things going on, the day after that. Neptune, your ruler, on the 30th of March goes into Aries, so that can open up a whole new cycle for you in terms of your finances, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's in that second house. So you're going to be experiencing Neptune transits there, but starting with Aries, a very long-term transit too. So in any case, the other thing too is that there's still a lot of Pisces energy. When Venus and Mercury went back into, went retrograded in your second house, they went back into your first house. And so how I see this, whenever this happens, I see how a person's self-worth, because that can be the second house, affects how they behave. And all of that is tied into, could be tied into your ability to, I'll say attract abundance, but I don't mean it so passively. I mean, even go after it, even feel deserving of it. So all of that could be coming up for you, but I feel like there's a lot of good possibilities for money as well. So on the 7th of the month, Mercury goes direct at 26 degrees of Pisces in your sign. And actually, this is around the degree that Pisces had a lunar eclipse back in September. That was at 25 degrees. So there might be some connection to that as well, if you can recall anything that might have happened back in mid-September, or the month before, 2 months afterwards. If there was like a significant event in your life, because this is in your sign, in your first house, that might, this Mercury direct might clear something up about that, because something may have dramatically shifted. You may have ended something in a big way, and you still did not have clarity on it, and now you do. So an example would be, since a lunar eclipse is a powerful full moon, and that would mean that the sun was engaged from the 7th house back in September, that some Pisces may have had like a very decisive breakup, like a marriage, maybe even like a long-term marriage, ending after holding on to it for quite a while. And that can do a number on people, even if they're usually with eclipses, it's out of your control on a conscious level. But even if you made some moves to, maybe you separated from that person, and then they decided to get divorced, and you felt that you didn't have any say in it, and it felt like out of your control, whatever might have happened, transpired, according to eclipses, it's meant to be, because it's something that is, at a higher level, trying to create expansion, growth opportunities in your life. But there might have still been some remnants of doubt or confusion surrounding that, and maybe you're gaining more understanding at a personal level, because the retrograde began in the second house. And like, you know what? I didn't realize how low my self-esteem was. I didn't realize how badly I'd been treated, because, if you've had several months to be alone, that can make you aware of how different you feel. And so there could be something very profound that is taking place, and, freeing you from any kind of confusion. On the 12th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Libra. And also on the same day, Venus, which rules Libra, by the way, goes direct in your sign, 24 degrees of Pisces, right around the same degree as that eclipse as well. So first of all, with the full moon, this is going to fall in your 8th house, which is the house of Scorpio. It's a water house. In astrology, it's very intense. I mean, that's kind of a cliche, but it is. And it's very transformative. And this full moon is, a very like a purging type of an action, bringing things out that may have been festering under the surface. So it can involve secrets, but it can involve something that has a lot of, I would even say like negative emotional charge, not necessarily on your side of things. It can be that something comes out in your life that has been hidden or kept secret, and it is something that is very emotional and very it could be, it could be shocking in a certain way for certain people, but it doesn't have to be negative. It isn't negative. It never is. And I never use the word negative. But I said a negative charge because that's how sometimes people perceive things. We tend to want everything to be hunky-dory because I think the reason that we want things to be always perfect and in harmony is because that's the natural state of things. If we were living in the golden age where everything was happening as it should, we would have more of those experiences. But now we have a lot of contrast. Even if we are looking forward to the fifth dimension, a golden age period, what have you, we have to respect what we're dealing with now. And Pisces is a sign that is especially prone to being overly idealistic, in the sense that you want things to be, you want everyone to be sensitive, and kind, and things like that, which is that's a sane wish, but you have to be realistic about what is happening in this world and not be too easily crushed if things don't go out that way. So if something comes up, maybe you hear something from somebody that is important to you, and it's something that you did not expect, or it's just something that feels very surprising, and maybe you find out by accident somebody's been deceptive towards you, you have the choice of how to react. If you stick to the belief that it's happening for your highest good, then you can weather the storm. That's not spiritual bypassing. That's not pretending that something upsetting is okay. It's simply seeing that this is just temporary, this feeling, and you'll be glad later on. And by the way, I don't mean to be ominous with this, because it might just be something very profound that comes to you. Full moons can be downloads. Might be something, it's in the 8th house. It could be like channeled if you have those abilities. be something like that. And it could help your life immensely. Venus going direct in your sign gives you a lot more charisma and manifestation abilities, because Venus is magnetic, and that is what we call attraction, being attractive. And in the first house, that's so good for you in terms of having good stuff happen. So that's nice. And then on the 16th, Mercury goes back into Aries. So that's going into your second house again. And maybe now you have better strategy for ways to earn money and better ways to think about it. On the 17th, Mars goes back into Leo. Mars has been in fellow water sign Cancer for a few months, I would say. And so in Leo, we are talking about that sixth house, which is very businesslike. I mean, it's the house of your opposite sign, Virgo. So maybe you have been flirting with, your own business when Mars was in the fifth house. And if you couldn't make it work, or it didn't seem viable, Mars going back into the sixth house gives you the energy to pursue outside work in some cases, but it may just give you the ability to get down to brass tacks, because in the fifth house, it's all about fun. So you may have been having a lot of fun, but you may have been slacking off. So now it's time to get back into things, including an exercise regimen for your health, because the sixth house can be health. And if you're in between jobs, applying for them. If you don't own your own business and you're looking for outside work, things like that. Things that are practical and productive. On the 19th, the sun goes into Taurus. This for you is the third house. We also have a new moon here on the 27th. And this is the third house that is ruled by Gemini in astrology. That has to do with the mind, and it has to do with siblings. So you may have... Oh, that's another thing too. Yeah. One thing I should say about that full moon in the 8th house is that you may find out about an inheritance. And that's why I'm saying too, when you're dealing with shared resources, which the 8th house represents, sometimes there are some unpleasant revelations that go along with it, that you were kept in the dark about something. Yeah, you were lied to about the will, or Pisces people tend to believe the best in others, and it can feel like a slap in the face when you do find somebody has been deceptive, because you feel like you're so trusting towards them. Like, why would they betray that trust? And it can feel really bad. I mean, that isn't bizarre that you would feel that way, but you have to be able to be less emotional about other people's foibles, because unfortunately some people are consumed by greed, and they might even be, some of them might even be your relatives, or your partner. Even 8th house could be your partner's money. What if you find out that your partner has been squandering, if you have separate bank accounts, or even a joint bank account, and you haven't been checking? Pisces, it isn't really a sign of a checker that like looks at bank statements or that kind of thing. You may just be oblivious to that, and then something forces you to see it, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? So with the new moon in the 3rd house, there might be a new boundaries you're placing on relationships with siblings. You might be taking a new course. If you're, getting hired somewhere, it might be in the educational field. On the 30th, Venus goes back into Aries. So Venus, this is a great thing because this is the house that Venus rules, second house. So that could be very good for money, especially if you felt that something had been kind of a little bit slowed down financially. This should bring it back and maybe even increase it, which would be nice, wouldn't it? It can also remind you of your self-worth, which is always a good thing as well. Okay, that's what I have for you, Pisces. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have package deals along with single readings on natal chart interpretation, transits, your love life, your career, and including your life path, which I think for Pisces is especially important because you tend to be very philosophical and not just like all about the money or all about the fame or the clout. So you can click on the link below for more information on that. Thanks for listening. Bye.